Hello, everybody, and welcome to Kyrus Has Friends, the show where I sit down with the people that matter to me the most, and those people are my friends. Before we get started today, be sure to follow me on my favorite social media platforms. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Vibe with Kai. You can also follow me on TikTok and on Snapchat at Kyrus Keenan. And as always, you can visit my website, thevibewithkai.com, where I'm always posting blogs and videos and things that'll help you do good, feel good, be good, and live a good life full of good vibes. But enough about me. Enough about me and my good vibes and my positive energy and all that dumb stuff. It's not dumb. I love it. I'm sitting here with a very lovely lady that I've gotten to know, I guess, over the last year and a half. I guess it's been now, and I'm so happy that she has accepted my invite to be on my podcast. She is an English language educator at the Learning Community Charter School in Jersey City, and she was recently awarded a grant by the Association of American Educators Foundation, and where this grant will be used to purchase culturally representative young adult literature for independent reading. And we're going to talk a little bit today about what it's like being a teacher in the pandemic world, something that she knows a little bit about. So I'm happy to have Samantha Vargas on Kyrus' Friends today. Hi, Samantha. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm so happy that you're here. I would have never thought, number one, that I would have you on a podcast of mine. This is a thing that is happening right now. It's happening.
Well, you should dream bigger.
I just never it never crossed my mind, and now it's here, it's happening, and we are in a different world than where we were this time last year. Really, things have changed, to say the least, in the world. And you are a teacher, so I guess before we get into all the nitty gritty here, just you in general, pandemic world, how are you holding up?
How is anyone holding up, really? I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question anymore. It's been a long time. It's
Yes.
been a long time. I just bought my second batch of cute masks.
Ooh,
So,
okay.
we're there.
Yes, you're at that point in the pandemic where you have cute masks.
Yeah, yeah. Mm. One to coordinate with the Halloween
Mm,
costume for the Halloween parade for the students.
yes, yes.
It's weird. Everything is weird.
I saw your Halloween costume. Are you doing Scott Pilgrim versus the World this year?
That is, it's not their generation. They
I
don't know.
know, but it's such a cool costume idea though.
Yeah, no, myself and some other teachers were being skeletons.
Oh, okay.
Skeleton
All right.
jumpsuits, skeleton masks.
Got it, got it, got it. Do you have everything already worked out for that, or are you gonna do like the last minute procrastination Halloween, do it yourself kind of thing?
No, no. I take Halloween pretty seriously and I practice what I preach. I try not to procrastinate. So
That's fair. That's fair. How long have you been teaching?
this is my fourth year.
Your fourth year, and what made you want to be a teacher? Like anyway, like what made you want decide like that you were like, hey, I'm going to be a teacher, damn it! Like what made you decide that?
I don't know. I've just known since like kindergarten when I was teaching all my stuffed animals. I like teaching people things. I love reading and writing. It just seemed natural. I don't really know what else I would do.
Right, right. And I've gotten to see you uh, get excited about teaching and working with your students and directing the school shows and things like that. And but now obviously we're in a different world, and things are different now. Um, what is it like going from, I guess, your 3 years of just traditional teaching to what it is now? What is that transition like, and how is it going so far?
It's been interesting to
Mhm,
say the least. I mean, this is previously I was teaching sixth grade, and this is my first year teaching eighth grade. So there was that
mhm,
transition to deal with on top of the transition of being all distance.
mhm,
I also basically now have a separate part-time job strictly for answering emails,
mhm.
which has increased by, oh my God, 3, 5 times. I don't know. There's so many emails
Can I
now.
hire you to answer my
Never,
emails? Because if
never,
there's one
no,
thing that I'm
never.
really bad at, I'm really bad at answering text messages and emails. So can I just like hire you to answer my emails?
There is a fine art to it. Yeah.
That's
But
funny.
I mean, before we went to this, my classroom was basically 80% paperless. I
Mm,
did a lot of stuff online anyway,
okay.
and I teach an older grade, and they're much more competent with the technology. I I do not understand how the elementary school teachers are doing it right
Oh
now.
man, I can't imagine.
It takes an immense amount of patience that I don't have. Um, I'm glad somebody has it.
Right. Yeah, because the kids have to get education from somewhere. Is your
It's
school district
really, it's
100%
really
virtual?
hard for the little ones to
Is
sit in
it
front of a screen and navigate that by themselves.
right?
They
Is it completely virtual, or are kids allowed to come to school in your district?
um at my school we're 100% virtual right now.
Okay. And do you teach from home, or do you go to the school and teach?
Um I've been doing a little bit of both.
Okay.
I
Okay.
live really close to the school.
Right. Right.
Um on days where I'm reading out loud from the book,
Mm.
I'm sure my husband doesn't want to hear The Outsiders, the same chapter like 3 times in a row at the top of my lungs.
That's a good
My
book,
leather
though.
jacket, I do a pretty good Pony Boy, and my Johnny is spot on.
That's funny. So how much do you miss the traditional aspect of teaching? You know, being in a classroom with students right then and right there in front of you. How much do you miss that?
Every day, all the time.
Mhm.
Teachers are miserable right now. I mean, this isn't why I got into teaching.
Right. Right. Right.
And it's hard because it's really shining a light on all those inequities in the education system that
I was gonna bring
we
that up.
already
Yeah.
knew were there, but now it's glaring.
Right, right.
You-
I was gonna ask you because so you work in Jersey City, right? And is it fair to say that a majority of the students there are people of color?
so I work at a school that is really, really diverse.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
We have
Mhm.
everyone there.
Okay.
So I wouldn't
And
say there's really any majority
right, right, right. And from a income level,
all
are
over the
you
place.
it's
Just
all
as
over the
well.
place. And so
Yeah.
you're saying that you're seeing the discrepancies, I guess, between
Because I
students.
teach the richest kids and I teach the poorest kids and I teach the kids all in between.
Right. And
Hmm.
how do you find a way to balance that? You know,
I don't know.
since you have such a wide array of students that, you know, have access to these things and some that don't and all of that, how do you find a way to balance that? Is it difficult?
I don't know. It's tough. There isn't enough yoga in the world. Um, no, it's tough because you have a student who's working on a MacBook and has excellent Wi-Fi connection and is in their upstate New York house,
Mm,
and that's an incredible virtual learning environment for that child. And
mhm.
then on the other hand, I have another student who is in charge of watching all the siblings in the house
Oh,
and
wow.
is also like cooking and doing chores, and their connection is really spotty,
Mm,
and it's not a quiet environment, and they're all in one tiny apartment, and
right.
so it's just, how do you navigate that?
Right, right. And but if there's one thing that I know about you, just per getting to know you, you know, over the last, you know, year and a half, and just seeing you in your element and seeing how much you care about these students. If there's one thing that I know about you is that you still find a way, you know, because you love them so much, right? You love all of them equally, and you care about them so much. And I'm curious, during this pandemic time, even though it's been different, do you still, you know, feel that you're, you know, connecting with your students and giving them, you know, I mean, I know obviously it's different, you know, than what you're used to, but you know, are you finding ways to still connect with them?
Well, it's forcing me to be creative. I don't want any of our pieces of the curriculum to go to the wayside and have to cut things out just because we're virtual and have it suffer. And 8th grade's an important year at our school because it's their graduating year and it's supposed to be this extra special year. Basically, the biggest part of my teaching pedagogy is kind of looking at the teacher as a performer, which isn't necessarily fair or how everybody looks at it. But if your students are bored, they're not engaged and they're not going to learn, they're going to tune you out. And especially over Zoom.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's probably even more prevalent now.
The Zoom slump is real. They are going to bed at 1 a.m. They're on their phones after they were on their screens all day. Yeah. They're not eating breakfast. Like, that's the reality of the situation. That's what I'm working with. I make them get up and stretch with me sometimes.
Right.
When they're really starting to fade away. But I'm just trying to be a little bit entertaining, so this isn't a miserable experience.
Right. And I feel like it's kind of a blessing in disguise, because I was thinking about this before we got on today. I feel like it's kind of like a blessing in disguise that you are still, like, in comparison to some teachers out there that have been teaching for 30, 40 years, that you are, in your 4th year. And so it may be a little bit easier for you, I guess, to adapt to what's happening in the world and the new technology that's being introduced and stuff like that. Some of the teachers that have been teaching for a long time, have you spoken with them and how are they feeling?
Well, I teach with this one teacher who's been at the school for over 30 years. And before we moved to virtual learning, in the classroom, she didn't use any technology whatsoever. Oh, wow. It was all like old school worksheets. She's OG. We love her. Like,
not even like a Scantron, like use a number 2 pencil.
No. And we love her, and it's just like very hands-on experiments, and it's been a challenge for her, but I commend her because she's keeping up. Like, she made her Google Classroom. She's teaching online on Zoom. She's doing experiments at home. She made little packets for them to take home so they can do experiments too with the resources. So it's forcing us to be creative. Like, oh, we can still do labs, but we just have to, do a pickup day for supplies. That's what I did with the books. Like, oh, they don't have to necessarily be reading on the screen. I can hand out these books that we have at the school. They just have to come pick them up.
Right.
Just think about things like that. I'm going to be doing a podcast project with my students in our argumentative writing unit because we won't be able to do the debates in class.
Yes.
So I thought that would be something interesting to do, take advantage of like all the technology.
Yes, like what we're doing right now, filming a podcast via, like, I'm all the way down by Philly and you're all the way up by Jersey City. And funny story, I'm going to tell this story. I'm going to make fun of myself for a second. So
I thought you were going to tell the story. Okay.
No, I'm going to tell the story about the first time I came to Jersey City. I came to visit you. And so we went for a walk. What was the name of the park that we were walking through?
Liberty State Park.
So we were walking through Liberty State Park. Now, mind you, I had never been to Jersey City before in my life, and I didn't realize how close it was to New York City. I was just dumb. I had no idea. So we get to this park. We're walking like along this river. And so I'm looking across the river, and I'm like, wow, the Jersey City buildings are huge. Wow, they're really big. I didn't realize Jersey City had these big, tall buildings. And then you turn to me and you're like, Kyrus, that's New York City. That's New York City.
Right.
You probably thought I was the dumbest person in the world. I had no idea. I had no idea that was New York City.
They don't really teach geography anymore. That's why we
probably thought I was the dumbest person in the world.
You need to teach yourself geography these days.
I had never seen New York from that angle before because like I've always taken like the train, NJ Transit, into New York City. So by the time I see New York City, I'm already in the thick of it. Like I'm already amongst all of the buildings. I had never seen New York City in person from New Jersey before, like ever. So like I was sitting there looking at it, I was like, wow, Jersey City buildings are really big. That's really big. And you're like, Kyrus, stop.
I thought you were going to tell the story of when my drive to Philly turned into a
I wasn't going to put you on blast like that, but
no, it's okay. Well,
Well, since you brought it up, so yeah, so you came down to the Philly area to come visit me, and so you're what should take what? How long would it normally take? What, an hour and a half?
Long time.
It takes like an hour and a half, I guess, right? And how long did it take you to get home that night?
Like 3 hours.
3 hours. And why did that happen, Sam?
A long time.
You brought it up.
I,
Well, you brought
I,
it up. Why did it happen, Sam?
I took the wrong exit.
You took the wrong
Why
exit.
you need to read? That's why you need to read.
Yes, and you took the wrong exit, and you ended up in Ohio somehow.
It felt like it.
But you did make it home safely. But I felt so bad. I felt really bad. You're like, I don't want to talk about it, even though you brought it up.
That's where I thought you were going.
No, never. I would never put you on blast like I just did, but I just did, I guess. So about your students. Let's talk about your students for a second. So, obviously, you like there's some students out there that like this is hard for them, right? To kind of go through all of this. But what kind of hopeful things have you been seeing from your students? Things that like will happen, and you're like, oh, okay, this is why I do this. Have you been experiencing that at all this year?
Yeah, you still do. I mean, oh, there's a dog.
You're good.
I'm fortunate. I taught these guys back in 6th grade,
Mm.
so I got to see them when they were babies. And now they're so much bigger, and they're just more mature,
Mhm.
and the things they're saying. I mean, because the adultification of students in Jersey City in particular is real, because asking high schoolers to apply to high schools with like PSAT scores
Right.
and requiring rec letters from teachers and having them seek out majors in high school, and it's an incredible amount of pressure for someone their age.
Right.
It's developmentally inappropriate, really, what it is.
Sure.
It's a lot of pressure. They think, oh, this school is going to affect where I go to college, is going to affect my job, and they're just 13.
Yeah.
And they're also in a pandemic.
Right.
And also, like, they're just seeing, people being, like, look at the media right now. Like, they're just
Yep.
seeing people that look like themselves being brutalized, and they're very politically aware, my students.
Yeah.
And it's a crazy time to be a student right now, like, especially at the ripe age of 13, when you're also like starting to discover yourself, and like you
And
realize,
all of this happening in the world right now.
together.
Yeah. But they have people like you to help guide them in a way, and I always feel that when it comes to important figures in people's lives, I feel like parents are number one and teachers are number two, right? Because most of the time teachers, like a child could see their teacher more than they see their parents sometimes, right?
Spend so much time with them.
Yeah, like so much time, and like the teachers shape like every single person on this planet, every single person. Yet I feel like teachers are so underappreciated in this world sometimes, and like that will always baffle me. It will always baffle me that teachers have to like spend some of their own money to go get supplies for their students, and then people get mad at teachers for being like, hey, pay us more, pay us what we deserve.
It's an interesting culture we have surrounding it. It's disappointing.
Right.
But I'm doing it for the kid who's going to unmute their screen and say, "Have a great day, Miss Vargas," like, or "How are you doing today?" Or I still I'm still doing open mic once a week with my students on Zoom, and Lola's like, "I'm gonna turn my camera off so you don't see my house, but then I'm gonna play Greensleeves on the piano," and like we're still doing things like that, and my intern's sharing like paintings, and it's weird because now all these students are like, I'm in my house, and they're all in my house with me, and it's just we're missing that socialization part, but like we're also like way more connected on a level than we've ever been before, and like we wouldn't have been if we were in the classroom. Like they're seeing things and hearing things that they wouldn't have seen. Like they're seeing my dog on the couch next to me and they're
Mhm.
hearing her freak out over the mailman, and my screen lights up when she snores, and I have to tell them, like, guys, that's not me snoring. And like, they see like that I don't look good in the Zoom screen either, and my eye bags look gray, and like this
Oh
isn't
my
our best,
gosh.
like we're gonna get through it. It's weird, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where these particular students end up, because I
Sure.
think you'd be much more self-sufficient
Sure.
than others.
Right, right. What is it like with parents right now? You know, you obviously you have to talk with I see your face. What is it like with parents right now? Because obviously it's difficult for a lot of parents too, obviously, like that maybe, you know, they have to go to work every day and they have to rely on so many, you know, things that are just like out of their control right now. Um, what is it like talking with parents every day?
I I can't imagine what it's like being a parent right now.
Hmm.
Everything that's kind of happening this year, I'm just trying to be as incredibly empathetic as I can. I
Hmm.
know, like, you need a deadline extension. Sure, you get a deadline extension. Like, I don't know what's going on in your home. This is not ideal.
Right.
Um, if you just made it through the day, like that's also a success, like
Right.
too. Like you didn't get to your paper and you can do it tomorrow. Like and the parents like are the same way. Like I don't know what they have on their plate. You're working a job and like your husband's furloughed, or this one's working at night and like the kids are left alone, or you're trying to do a job online, the kids are at home and you're trying to do their, help with them with online school at the same time. Like I can't imagine having a kid at home on online school right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
so I'm trying to be very understanding.
No, I hear you, I hear you.
My goal is
Yeah.
as little parent emails as possible. So like, if there's really not many emails coming in, then I figure I'm doing a good job.
I see. Have the emails and like died down? Because I would imagine leading up to the school year, there was a lot of emails from parents being like, "What is happening? What is going on? How is this going to work?" and all of that. Has that kind of leveled out now that the school year is kind of like a
I
month
think
or
we've
so in?
fallen into a routine. I mean, my administration was pretty good about rolling out information to parents.
Mhm.
There was a learning curve, like that
Right,
was to be expected. I was
right.
telling my colleagues, like, first day of school, I'm fully expecting like 5 kids to show up. Like that's where like I had the bar, and
Yeah.
like I know it's sad, but I was like, if we don't think we're gonna run into problems,
Mm.
like we're just gonna kill ourselves and burn
Right,
ourselves
right,
out with these like high expectations that are just impossible.
right, right.
So we've been like every day something new, I feel, and we're just like kind of learning as we go.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm trying to make it as least miserable as possible.
Yeah.
Because high school applications on top of this all, like
Oh, yeah.
they're just like spazzing out. So I tell them, breathe through your nose. Come
Do you
on, get up and stretch with me. I yell at
right.
them like, don't make me stretch alone.
Do you think school will ever be the same? Like, let's just say that we get a brand new cure to COVID-19 tomorrow, and everybody's okay. Everybody takes it. Everybody's back to normal. Do you think school and teaching and all of this and learning, do you think it'll ever go back to what it was, or is this just like a new like everything's changed? Even if things go back to quote unquote normal, just things are changed now. Do you think that's the case, or will things just go back to the way they were?
I'm not sure. It's really going to depend on, a lot of things. I mean, this has been really successful for a lot of children, and it's interesting. Like, for instance, I had a student last year who had an autoimmune disease, and he was out all the time, and that was a huge issue. But now he's home all the time, so he's able to
Mm,
be in school every
right,
day.
right.
So for someone like that, like this is incredible. Um, but it's not everyone's style of learning.
Sure, sure.
Some kids are really, really struggling with it.
Mhm.
Um, it's there's so much. There's
Yeah,
just such a range. Yeah, I think
mhm,
it really depends on the situation with the parent
of course.
and how, like, the style of teaching of the teacher and how the student learns. But it might be offered as an option. You might now see schools like that offer a virtual class option.
Interesting. Yeah,
I don't know. We'll see.
right. I'm gonna play a little game with you. I hope you're ready. Ah,
Does
so
this
it's
game
really
have a
easy.
name?
What's up?
Does this game have a name?
Yes, it's called what comes to mind is what it's called. All right.
Okay.
So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say a word, and all you have to do is say the first thing that comes to your brain. It could be
It's
another
like a word
word, it could be a
association
sentence.
test.
Yeah,
Okay.
it could be anything like that. It could be a word, it could be a sentence, it could be a person, whatever it is. There's no right or wrong answer. So I'm just gonna say a word. You're gonna say the first thing that comes to your brain. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Remember, there are no there are no right or wrong answers. Nobody's judging you except for me. I'm judging you. But outside of that, nobody's judging you.
All right.
All right, here we go. You ready?
Okay.
All right, here we go. First word, peace.
I hope.
Mhm. Power.
Oof. Just oof.
Wait, what was the word?
Oof.
Oof. I like that. Oof. OOF, right? I like it. Mindful.
Batya.
Bhatia.
She's this yogi I used to know.
Ooh, okay. I drink yogi tea. Any association? Probably not. Okay. Dumb question, Kyrus. Strong.
Me.
You are. Motivated.
My mother.
I like that. Begin.
Morning.
Oh, I like that. Love.
So the first thing that popped into my mind, my coworker recently sent out a photo to cheer us up in these hard, trying times. Which, I'll take any cute photo I can get nowadays. And it was a photo of her Pipple just had 13 puppies.
Oh,
So that's what just popped into my mind was 13 Pitbull puppies.
listen, that works. That works. Once again, there are
Oh,
no right or
it
wrong
is
answers
so
here.
cute. So cute.
Nice. Okay, next word is secure.
Home.
Adventure.
Mountains.
Nice. Interesting. Okay. Mountains, really? Are you a mountain person? Really? I did not know that.
I'm an everything person. I like the beach, I like the mountains. I'll go anywhere.
I've known you for a bit. I never thought of you as a mountain person.
No,
This
no, no.
fascinates me.
I love to hike.
I hiked the Rockies earlier this year.
Very
All right,
nice.
cool. You're supposed to say congratulations, Kyrus.
Oh, good job. Oh, proud of your hiking.
I've never been hiking before. My first hike was in
First
the
time.
Rockies.
Were you okay?
No, I was not okay. First of all, it was hiking a big mountain, number one. Number two, it's in Denver, Colorado, which is already a mile high. I could not breathe, Sam, at all. I could not breathe. I got to the top. I'm like, so I have to make it all the way back down.
Hike first.
It was bad.
I went for a hike a few weekends ago at the Delaware Water Gap, Mount Tammany, and it's a short hike, but it's pretty steep.
Yeah.
There was this couple in front of me who was like very clearly on like just a first or like second, like a preliminary date, very
wow.
beginning of the relationship date.
Yeah.
And someone had sold that this was a very easy hike to the other person, who was obviously not an avid hiker like the other person clearly was.
No.
So this one person's like, and the other person's like just really struggling.
Oh no.
Trying not to like sweat on this day. And like, she said, this was an easy hike. Like you said, I wouldn't need to use my hands.
Oh my gosh.
So they weren't ready for that steep of a hike.
Do you think they went out on another date?
I don't know. I wonder.
And then the last word is learning.
I know you said first word, but like so many came to mind at the same time.
All of them. Go ahead, say them.
No.
There's no right or wrong answer. You can say anything you want.
Technically popped into my head first. Which one got the best? I think community.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Those were good answers, Sam.
No, I'm not worried about my answers. There was so many words that popped into my head, and I think that's indicative of learning. it encompasses so many different things and
Yeah.
hits so many different things.
If you could give one piece of advice to any young teacher out there that's listening right now, because we have listeners from all over the world, really, but mainly in the United States. Um, if you could give a piece of advice to any young teacher out there that's struggling to teach through the pandemic, maybe something that you've learned or something that you're working on yourself, what would you tell them?
Reach out to your coworkers, not necessarily administration, but your colleagues. Like, you should be sharing. No man is an island, as John Donne would say. Like, you shouldn't be isolated. Like, I'm used to seeing my coworkers on a day-to-day basis, going in the morning like 20 minutes before like the ruckus of children in the hallways, and I'm just there with my tea, and like, oh, or like, Johnny, do you like so and so in your class? And like, yeah, he pulled that shit in my class too. Like, just like that back and forth. And we miss it too as teachers. And just you have to take care of yourself right now. Like, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the Zoom screen, like the drain is real. And like, I have to remind myself, like, oh, you have a break, go outside and sit in the sun, like drink a glass of water. Like, these seem like basic things, but like, you have to really actually remind yourself to take care of yourself right now, especially as a teacher, because there's a lot more on our workload, which was already crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just, these are stressful times, and there's a whole like emotional piece that like we take on that's extra, as like having these connections with all these students, and these
Right.
students, they're also going through all of this right now. So
Right.
just try to take care of yourselves, reach out to each other, help each other, love each other, like, be kind. Share. Like, you don't have to make every single PowerPoint, girl. Like, go find it. It exists. Edit it. Like, go have a glass of wine instead, and like call your friend. You gotta prioritize. Like, take care of yourself. It's tough. It's really tough, and it's even tougher because it doesn't seem like there's no exact end in sight. It'd be easier if I could know, like, oh, I could do this. Just have to get to like March. But I don't know when this is gonna end. I don't know when we're going back. I don't know if it's soon. I don't know if it's another year. I don't know. Like, I don't know anything.
Right.
So
I appreciate you taking the time. I know you were just talking about the Zoom drain, so I appreciate you hopping on a Zoom with me right now to
it's a
record this
little
podcast.
different though. It's a little different though, because I mean, like I said, the little ones have a tough time on Zoom, but like now, like with the 8th graders, like they think they think they're cool, and like they're also over this now. So sometimes I'm just like, Bueller. Like, I'm just teaching to the abyss. Muted Zoom screens that don't want to talk, and I'm like, hey, can you raise your screen? I'm teaching to your forehead.
Right.
So it's nice to actually
have a conversation.
Someone speak back.
When you're talking at somebody and they actually respond.
Yeah.
Well, no, I appreciate you taking the time. And I wish you nothing but the best, not just to you, but to pretty much every teacher out there. I know it's not easy. Parents, if you're listening right now, please stay patient with our teachers. They are figuring this out as they go along, just like you are. And a lot of the teachers are parents too, so they can empathize with what you're going through and what you're dealing with here. So we're going to figure this out, friends. We're going to figure it out, and we're going to get there. And this might be the new normal right now, but we're all in this together, as the famous High School Musical quote goes. Thank you, Zac Efron and Vanessa Hudgens, for that. With that said, Sam, thank you so much for chatting with me. I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Everybody else, be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Vibe with Kai. You can also follow me on Snapchat and on TikTok at Kyrus Keenan. As I can't talk. And as always, you can follow me on my website, thevibewithkai.com, where I'm always posting blogs and videos and things that'll help you do good, feel good, be good, and live a good life full of good vibes. As always, thank you again for watching and for listening, and God bless and good vibes.